Most Uber drivers look at one number, how much money they made. Uber says you earned $200, so you think you had a pretty good day. But the number almost tells you nothing. You could earn $200 and have a great day. Or you could earn the same $200, drive twice as many miles, spend more on gas, work longer, and barely make a profit. That is why today I want to go over the 5 numbers every Uber driver should know. Because once you start tracking these numbers, you stop guessing whether you're making money and start knowing whether you're making money. And one of these numbers may completely change the way you actually decide what rides to accept, which ones to deny. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and this is the Rideshare Guy. The first number every driver needs to know is their cost per mile. And no, this is not just what you spend on gas. Gas is only one part of the cost using your vehicle. You also have oil changes, tires, brakes, repairs, depreciation, insurance, registration, car washes, and eventually replacing the vehicle itself. Every mile you drive brings your car 1 mile closer to its next repair and 1 mile closer to needing to be replaced. Let's use a simple example. Suppose your total vehicle expenses work out to be 35 cents per mile. You accept a trip that pays $10, but you drive 20 miles between the pickup and drop-off. The trip did not actually really pay you $10. Your vehicle cost was approximately $7. That leaves you with only $3 before taxes. And this is exactly why looking only at the dollar amount on the offer screen can be very misleading. A $15 ride may look better than an $8 ride, but if that $15 ride requires 30 miles and the $8 ride only requires 6 miles, the shorter trip may be far more profitable. You do not need to calculate this perfectly down to the penny every time you drive, but you should have a realistic estimate. For some drivers, this might be 25 cents per mile. But for other drivers, especially driving something newer, larger, less fuel efficient, it could be 40, 50, or even 60 cents per mile. Once you know your number, you can judge rides based on what they actually cost you instead of what Uber says they'll pay. The second number is your profit per hour. Notice I did not say earnings per hour. Uber may show you that you earn $30 per hour, but that is your gross income before expenses. Let's say you made $180 during a 6-hour shift. That $30 per hour is gross earnings. But during that shift, you drove 150 miles. If your vehicle costs 35 cents per mile, your vehicle expenses were about $52.50. So your real profit is actually $127.50. Divide that by 6 hours, and your actual profit was about $21.25 per hour before taxes. So that is a big difference between the $30 per hour you thought you were making. You also need to be honest with how you count your free time. So don't start the clock when you accept the first ride and stop it when you drop off your last passenger. No, your workday starts when you leave home with the intention of driving. So it includes the time that you spend waiting for trips, repositioning, sitting in the airport queue, driving back from a bad drop-off, and heading home at the end. All of that time belongs in your hourly calculation. So this is where an app like Solo can make things much easier. Solo lets you link your gig accounts, track your income and expenses, estimate your taxes, and see how your work is actually performing. So instead of trying to piece together information from multiple apps, screenshots, mileage logs, and notes, you can manage it all in one place. Solo can also help you plan when to work, and in some markets, even guarantee your daily earnings. So if you want a clear picture of what you're actually making, check out Solo using the link in the description. Let's get back to the numbers. The third number is one of the most overlooked. Dead miles. Yes. Dead miles are the miles you drive without a paying passenger or delivery in the vehicle. So this is going to include driving to a pickup for the most part, because let's face it, the reality is they say that they're paying for you to pick up the passenger, but it's really not. Repositioning to another area, returning from a long trip, driving around waiting for a request, and sometimes you drive home. So drivers often evaluate a ride based only on the miles from pickup to drop off, or even from where they are to the total drop-off. But that ignores a huge part of the trip. So suppose Uber offers you $18 for a 20-mile ride. At first, it may not look too terrible, but the pickup is 5 miles away. Then the ride drops you off in an area where you're unlikely to get another request. So you have to drive 15 miles back. So now that $18 ride becomes 40 total miles. So at 35 cents per mile, those miles cost you approximately $14. So now you're really left with about $4 before taxes for that trip and all that time that took. So this is why you need to pay attention to where a ride is taking you, not just what it pays. A trip that ends in a busy area may lead directly into another profitable ride. But a trip that ends far outside your market may create 20 or 30 miles of unpaid driving. One way to measure this is compare your paid miles with your total miles. At the end of your shift, check your odometer. Then compare your total mileage with the mileage connected to the completed trips. The smaller the gap, the more efficient you are operating. You never will eliminate dead miles completely, but you can reduce them by avoiding long pickups, learning where trips are likely to leave you stranded, and not constantly chasing surge across town, or the worst, driving around aimlessly for the next ride. The fourth number is your acceptance percentage, but not necessarily the reason Uber wants you to track it. Uber may use acceptance rate as part of certain rewards programs, bonus offers, or driver status levels, but that does not automatically mean a higher acceptance rate makes you more money. In upfront pricing markets, drivers see the pay, the estimated time, the pickup, and destination before accepting. So this gives you the ability to decide whether a ride fits your standards. Your acceptance percentage should reflect your strategy. If your acceptance rate is 90%, ask yourself whether you are accepting rides because they are profitable or because you feel pressured to maintain that number. If your acceptance rate is 5%, ask whether you may be filtering so aggressively that you are spending too much time sitting still. There's no perfect acceptance rate that works for every driver. It's going to depend on your market, the type of rides available, your vehicle expenses, and of course, your goals. The important question is this: what happens to your hourly profit when your acceptance rate changes? You could test this. For 1 week, accept only rides that meet your minimum standards. Track your profit per hour, total miles, and your downtime. Then compare it with a week where you accept more rides. You may find that being more selective raises your profit, or you may find in your market that excessive cherry picking creates too much unpaid waiting. The goal is not to have the lowest acceptance rate possible. The goal is to find the acceptance strategy that produces the best combination of profit, consistency, and mileage. Do not chase an acceptance percentage simply because the app puts it in front of you. Make the number work for you. The fifth number is your weekly target. A lot of drivers turn on the app without a real plan. They drive until they feel tired, until they made enough to pay that upcoming bill, or until the app seems slow. That makes it very difficult to measure whether driving is actually working. You should have a weekly profit target, not just an earnings target. Suppose your goal is to bring home $700 per week after your vehicle expenses, but before taxes. If you average $25 per hour in actual profit, you know you need to work approximately 28 hours. That gives you something concrete to plan around. You can then schedule those hours during the most profitable times instead of randomly driving throughout the week. Maybe your best hours are going to be Friday and Saturday nights. Maybe weekday mornings are stronger in your market. Maybe you need to avoid certain slow afternoons completely. Your weekly target can help you decide when a bonus is also worth pursuing. If you're already close to your target and a quest requires 20 additional low-paying rides, it may not be worth the extra miles and time. But if the bonus fits naturally into the schedule you were already going to work, it may help you reach your goal faster. Your weekly target should include 3 things: how much profit you want to make, how many hours you're willing to work, and how many miles you're willing to put on your vehicle. Because earning $1,000 while driving 1,200 miles is very different from earning $1,000 while driving 600 miles. So let's put all 5 numbers together. Your cost per mile tells you what it costs to operate your vehicle. Your profit per hour tells you what your time is actually worth. Your dead miles show you how much unpaid driving is cutting into your earnings. Your acceptance percentage helps you evaluate whether your ride selection strategy is working. And your weekly target gives you a plan instead of random results. These numbers also work together. If your dead miles increase, your cost rises and your hourly profit usually falls. If you accept too many unprofitable rides, your acceptance rate may look great, while your profit gets worse. If your weekly target requires more hours or miles than you're willing to drive, your target may not be realistic. The biggest mistake is judging your performance using only the number Uber shows you at the top of the earnings screen. That is revenue. It's not necessarily profit. The drivers who last are usually not the ones who simply drive the most. They are the ones who understand their numbers, protect their vehicle, and make the intentional decisions about when and where they work. So take a few minutes this week, figure out these 5 numbers for yourself: your cost per mile, your profit per hour, your dead miles, your acceptance percentage, and your weekly target. Once you know them, every ride becomes easier to evaluate. And you may discover that some of the rides you thought you were making money have actually been costing you money. So I want to know, what is the number that you pay the most attention to when you're driving? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to know if I would start driving Uber and Lyft in 2026 right now, check out this video right here. I talk about that exactly and what you should be doing and looking at when it comes to 2026. Make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you in the next one.